Yeshua, your King of praise. Shalom, everyone. This is Messianic Rabbi Buzz Tremé, the Jew teaching you. Welcome to our Bible study. Yeshua, you are the way. Yeshua. So I have loved you with an eternal love. I have drawn you with loving kindness. I will build you up again, and you will be rebuilt, O virgin Israel. Earlier he's saying, I'm divorcing you, you whore. That's what he tells Israel. I'm divorcing you, you harlot, you cheater. Instead of remaining to me, your husband, you went to other gods and prostituted yourself with them. And you want to lean on them for their provision and protection. And I'm divorcing you for it. Well, under the law, and these people knew it, when a person divorced a woman, it was allowed, they could never remarry. That's a little bit of a problem, huh? Now he's saying, "O virgin Israel." What? You call her a whore, a harlot, and now you're calling her a virgin? And he goes on to say, you're going to be my bride. I swore it. It can't be changed. How can this happen? Because the old Israel died. Can you name anybody who was a part of Israel who died and was born again to the new life? Brand new, a new creation? Mary, the mother of Jesus. Paul, the apostle to the Gentiles. Peter, and so on. You could just see it, huh? So what God does is He divorces the old person and they end up dying. But then out of the ashes comes a new. Isn't that beautiful? And He calls her virgin. Now, when you read Hosea, it just really gets graphic, but can you imagine catching your wife or your husband? And, well, in fact, there was no catching them. They flaunted it in front of you, their unfaithfulness. What a terrible thing. And then they say, please forgive me. Okay, I forgive you. The next day, it's doing it again. Well, this is what happened. And so God said, I'm divorcing you. But then later on, He performs a miracle and resurrects them in new creation. New creation means that you're new, created new, and without sin. Therefore, you are virgin. And this is what He's calling her. I mean, it's amazing when you go back and read the previous part. But now He's calling her a virgin. Amazing. God is wise, isn't He? Again, you will take up your tambourines and go out to dance with the joyful. And again, you will plant vineyards on the hills of Samaria. The farmers will plant them and enjoy their fruit. There will be a day when watchmen cry out on the hills of Ephraim, the northern part of Israel. Come, let us go up to Zion, to the Lord our God. He's talking about making a full turn back to the days of rejoicing. And now you can really rejoice because there's no sin. This is what the Lord says. Sing with Jacob. Check this out. Sing with joy for whom? New York. Sing with joy for Washington. For the United States. It's not what it says. Sing with joy for Jacob. Shout for the greatest of the nations. He's talking about them being reborn and being forgiven. And He says, I'm going to make you the chief nation. We just saw it in Deuteronomy. make your praises heard. He's speaking to the nations. And say, O Lord, save your people, the remnant of Israel. It's going to happen. And he says, see, I will bring them from the land of the north and gather them from the ends of the earth. Among them will be the blind and the lame, expectant mothers and women in labor. Can you imagine how he's envisioning this? And look, we've been seeing it happen from 1948 forward. Actually, before 48, when the war in World War II broke out and the persecution started on the Jews, what happened? They had begun fleeing. They were catching boats. However, a lot of resistance. A lot of people didn't want them to leave. Stop, you stay here. The devil trying to keep them from going home. But they went home. And pretty soon, the war ended. World War II ended in 45, and the next few years, just boatloads of people were going back to Israel. We know some of the stories, the Exodus with Paul Newman and some of those stories that had to do with Britain and them not wanting to let the Jews go back home. Can you imagine, how you can persecute God's people and think it's all right by God? You're standing in the way of His progress. And so the next thing you know, the nation was born. What happened when Israel became a nation again, fulfilling the prophecies in Isaiah 66? What happened there? Immediately, everybody on every side attacked them. All the nations around them came down. They had one old beat-up tank, a few guns. It's amazing what they didn't have. And they began to fight, but God was with them. And they had 1 year of fighting, and guess what? When it was all said and done, they declared their independence. And it's called the Year of Independence. So that was the year 49. 48, they declared themselves a nation. Then they had to fight it out for a year. And from then they moved forward, and look where they are now. They're a real powerful nation. But the point is, do they do everything right? Absolutely not. But will God do everything right and according to His promises? Yes. And He will bring them to the place where they will look upon the one they pierced, and they will receive Him as their Messiah. And the Lord says, when you say, Baruch haba b'shem Adonai, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord, then you'll see me. And that's going to happen. So we need to know the Bible as opposed to some of the ideas that have floated into the church, because it's not always true. That doesn't mean you have the right to go around slapping people around saying, you don't believe like I do. We're all trying to dig out the truth and understand it, aren't we? You should be. We should be, because we'll all stand personally before the judge, and that's Jesus. Right. Okay. I want to show you what happens when you break the covenant. And let's see. I retyped my notes today, and you know how that goes. Okay. I want to say that the Sabbaths were to be kept. And let's go to Leviticus 26. You know, I'm not under a legalistic command to obey the Sabbath, because I'm in the new covenant, and the new covenant has taken all of these shadows and types and promises and brought them into reality. So therefore, I can say every day is the Shabbat. For what the Shabbat was pointing to is the rest of God. Guess what? By faith, I'm in it. So therefore, nobody can judge me, is what Paul said in Colossians chapter 2. Don't let anybody judge you by whether you keep a Shabbat or not, a Sabbath. You don't. And there's a lot of people, every now and then somebody attacks me and says, do you keep the Shabbat? I go, yeah. I'm in Yeshua, and therefore I'm in the rest. He's the Lord of the Sabbath. And but there's always those that, no, you've got to, and you get all the men circumcised too, That hasn't, Paul says, that's of no avail in the new covenant. He's looking at the heart. And we'll know what's in your heart by your behavior. Easy. You can't fool God. Aren't you glad to be in the new covenant? There's no restrictions. Except doing what's right. That's all you want to do. Oh, I love the Lord, huh?